You're from Portland, Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay. Yo, what's up? It's your boy DGL7. I have a very special guest on. It's been a while. Comrade Red Pagan Nicole, actually. How did I meet you again? I'm trying to remember exactly.
I honestly, I don't remember. I remember you had commented on, I think, on one of my videos and stuff like that, and we had set up some interview the last time for where I was just where I was talking about, I guess, my brand of Marxism Leninism or something like that. I honestly don't know. It's been a while.
I'm still traveling down that pathway to an extent. I've actually recently started doing more of a discussions with someone named Dust James. Does that name
Yeah.
sound familiar to you? Oh, you know who this person is?
Well, I remember you were talking to me about him, but yeah, no. As far as that person goes, I'm not familiar with his work.
Okay. There's other people who are who actually in this communist little subculture, I guess, that we have. There's certain people that we're going to run across, right? And some of those are CPI, some of those are Yankee Tanky.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can cross it. And one of them is actually your name came up recently. I saw something happening with you and Keffels. Now, I wasn't really sure what was going on, and then I tried to see something. It seemed like Keffels was somehow critical. What's going on between you and Keffels? I wasn't really sure what her problem was with you, but it didn't seem like she was really cool.
Oh boy. Okay, so it stemmed honestly from probably a multitude of things, because it kind of started with a Twitter beef that we had back in September of 2022, and it was where there was certain accusations that were being platformed around and stuff like that, that she had made some sort of I'm not going to say racist, but definitely was some off-color comment about where she was trying to compare her alleged doxing to that of a African American gentleman that was what, for lack of a better term, medically tortured.
Wait a second. So you said she was doxing. Did she do the doxing? Did someone dox her?
No,
What
she got doxed by, well, okay, so allegedly she had gotten doxed by a group of individuals from a organization called Kiwi Farms, which is known to be a far right website that often posts a lot of conspiracy theories and transphobic rhetoric and stuff like that. And
but
not,
quick question: is Keffels a communist?
I would not describe her. I would describe her as more of a liberal.
Okay, so she is a lefty, not communist. She used to be communist. She's no longer communist, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so she's under attack by right wingers. She strikes back and she compares them to African American. She compares her own. What were they saying about her again? They
She
doxed
was
her, so she said it was equivalent to black people being, or she made an allusion to it being similar to black people's struggle. Okay.
Yeah, essentially. And and anyway, there's a lot of stuff that could honestly goes along with that. Was the fact that after she was doxed, it wasn't just a doxing, she was also allegedly swatted. And after that whole situation, she moved to, I believe it was Belfast, Northern Ireland, and but before she did that, she was vacationing in like New York, and like I think went to like Paris and London or something like that. And then something came out about how she apparently made like 6 figures a year, but was claiming that she needed a lot of money for like her moving expenses and stuff like
How is
that.
she making 6 figures a year?
Twitch.
On Twitch?
Twitch.
Is Keffels a gamer streamer? Is a political
Yep.
streamer? What is she?
She's a gamer slash streamer who kind of touches on a lot on political topics. She used to be
Okay, I did not know
she
that. Okay,
she used to be a communist member of the Communist Party of Canada before they kicked her out for um, essentially being really toxic and uh,
okay,
just problematic for them, and so and yeah, and then she anyway, so kind of moving ahead a little bit on this, I was kind of retweeting some of these accusations that were against her, and then one of the things that got brought up that uh, that ended up getting I think that kind of started this whole thing was actually my video that I did back in February of last year, where I essentially just brought um, a lot of these particular things. I brought up a lot of these things in a video of mine, and I guess uh, she and her fans decided to start attacking me because she did a video. She responded to it in August, uh, essentially where she was breaking down my video and making all sorts of criticisms and stuff like that. And essentially I had begun engaging directly with her over these over the accusations against her and the thing and bunch of the misconceptions that she was making about Marxist Leninists and stuff like that, because essentially anybody that's a communist or like further to the left than she is, she essentially calls them a tanky, which is just, is absolutely crazy. But she basically she ended up pretty much from about August onward, still kind of ongoing. She has had a absolutely rabid anti-communist like campaign that she's been waging, especially, but not just against me, but
oh,
she's
she's
had a
anti-communist now. Okay, what's
yeah,
what's the
she's
problem? Okay, so I know like some people. I hang with like actually quite a few right wingers myself, right? Yeah.
yeah.
I know their criticism of communism, right? Which I think is I don't particularly I'm okay with communism in certain ways, but what is so now it's interesting that she's on the left, right? Yeah, she's liberal. What's her complaints about communism?
Um, Honestly, I think the best way to describe it is her video that she released that says why Marxism Leninism is dangerous, and she makes a lot of uh misconceptions about it. I don't really remember everything that went on to it because I kind of just skimmed through her video because I prefer not to get brain rot. But she it was just a lot of different things that, at least in my opinion, she was. I think that she was. What's the best word to describe it? She was very off about, and I she like is very ardently opposed to. She's definitely very much more of a um I guess you could call her an anti-authoritarian, which is fine. I get there's a few people that are anti-authoritarian on the left that I can typically get along with. They're kind of sometimes they can be a little annoying, but at the same time, I'm not really gonna I some of them are actually people I get along with. In her case, it is a person who kind of honestly regurgitates, it seems like, a lot of just standard talking points that we have been like a lot of like Cold War era rhetoric that she just believes at face value without actually doing research or reading up on theory and actually deep diving into what these things are.
Okay. Quick question on. I see the trans flag in the back. I know you're trans yourself, right? Yeah, and respect for your strength and like being that. I know it's tough to be under that. They're actually facing a lot of particular discrimination right now, which I'm in solidarity with trans people. I'm so sorry what you're facing. But is Keffels trans as well?
Yes, she is. She's another fellow trans YouTuber, and I think it's anyway. One of the things that I would honestly say that's been interesting is that, like I said, she's not just been attacking me; she's been very very fixated on a particular person that I'm friends with, who Womp Goblin on who that on Twitter, and or X or whatever people want to call it these days. But she's also gone after several other uh, leftist YouTubers like Sophie from Mars, Thought Slime, um, oh, what is it? Second Thought. She's just been on a crusade where against pretty much anybody that is any further to the left, I would say, than her, and honestly, her and Vosh the to a lesser extent. But yeah, she's been just very rabidly anti-communist
Okay. Just
for
so the thing is that with like being a minority myself, right? Like I'm not actually trans or gay at all, right? Just gonna be honest with it. But within the Asian Americans, I know like within the community, I'd be watching to see who else has come out with content. I want to know what my community's thinking, right? Within the trans community, I know she has like a larger following. Is there who are the I know there may be some other trans producers who are more well known, but there may be also like within my community, right? I know there's gatekeepers that are trying to manage the narrative and all this other stuff, right?
yeah.
Within your community, there may be some gatekeepers and stuff like that going on. Um,
Oh yeah.
so, so help me, like, because I don't really know that particular realm. I know a lot of people that will be put in front of us, or the people with the big followings will be trying to be used by the establishment or by, money powers. What can you do to help us understand more? Right, we see the stuff going with Kevin Hart and being exposed by Cat Williams. What's going on in the trans community, and what are some of the issues that are not being talked about?
Um, it's funny because I actually touched a little bit on what I feel kind of is part of an issue in the trans community. I touched on it back in like July, and it was, I think, one of the biggest issues that faces us is there's a lot of I would definitely agree. There's a lot of gatekeeping, and I think that's part of a overarching issue of different disagreements about what it means to be trans, and like what we can do to try to dispel the misconceptions and the misinformation about trans people and stuff like that. But the big issue, I think, overall, is communication within the trans community, because too many of us, like to gatekeep and be just kind of like, it's like, well, we can't say this because that makes us seem this way, or we can't say this because that makes you sound like, you know, uh,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do have a quick question, right? So the thing
yeah,
is that right now, within the communist section or within the lefties, right? Yeah, we
yeah,
can see a unique attack, like like from Caleb Maupin to Haas, right? Yeah, there's a new
yeah.
attack on trans people within the communist community or whatever, right? Left leaning. What about the trans people in the left community, like getting together and helping to push back against that or fighting? What is the organizing on their community part to protect themselves?
Um, honestly,
You get what I'm saying, right? Because there's a unique attack now on this community within the left. Like, what's going on? Like, yeah,
yeah, honestly, the best thing that been trying to do is trying to stay in front of it as best we can. People like Haas and Maupin, I mean, we kind of consider them to be, we wouldn't even consider them to be leftists or communists. They're basically people that try to fly the banner of Marxism or socialism, let's just put it that way, but are actually fascists.
One
So
more question, right quick. I am a little bit right. I'm just learning about a lot of this stuff.
yeah,
I'm not really much of an ideologist. I'm more of a, just to actually do things.
yeah.
So the thing is that in Marx, I have read some Marx. I have read some Lenin, right? Yeah. I
Mm.
don't think trans people are really actually mentioned specifically. They may talk about gay, but I don't think they really talk about trans at all.
Not specifically, but essentially what it's in one of the things that we kind of really try to hit home about is that Lenin essentially spoke about trying to reach, the deeper sections of the proletariat, and one of those particular sections that I think have been, that face a lot of oppression and a lot of struggles are trans people specific, because a lot of trans people, for instance, they um are discriminated against, when it comes to getting jobs, particularly in sections of the US like the South in
They're
Texas,
truly an
Florida.
oppressed class. There's no doubt.
Yeah. And so I would on so they are definitely, an oppressed class. They are definitely a section of the proletariat that we try to continue to reach out to. And I think that there's certain sections of that movement that have begun to kind of move farther to the right politically, like Haas and Maupin, who believe in a very more, um, I guess the word would be traditionalist style of thing, where it's just like, trans people and gay people, they, don't have any place in the movement and blah, and all that sort of stuff. And honestly, that's really a incorrect assumption, especially when you consider the fact that yeah, there was. Let's first go back just
Wait a second. Aren't they like big fans like Cuba and stuff like that? But didn't Cuba make like big like strides for like the gay people and stuff?
yeah, actually, partially that was due to the fact that, oh, what was her name? I think she was the daughter of Raul Castro, who I believe was actually a lesbian, and she spearheaded a lot of. She was kind of a major political figure in trying to bring LGBT rights to Cuba, and that kind of has. And I would say the trans rights is still very slow. There's still people that are trying to kind of grasp with it, but I would honestly say, in terms of uh, the gay community, there's been a lot of progressive strides in that have been made in Cuba, and I think trans rights are actually, I would honestly say they're kind of further along in Cuba than they would be in other communist countries, and definitely I would say even further along than they are in the U.S.
Well, I gotta
So
see for myself, but yeah, I have heard some positive things, and then you think it definitely merits more investigation. Now, one
yeah,
thing being Asian American, just so you know, during the LA riots, what happened was that the media, when they knew that the blacks weren't happy, they actually redirected a lot of the anger that the community had about their conditions, and redirected that towards the Asian American people. Now
yeah,
I feel like this is happening, and this issue is not really addressed, right? And what happens is that allows there to be a new cycle of victims. And I think that this is happening to trans people right now to try to manipulate the 2024 election cycle. And it's really annoying to me. And I want to,
I
yeah, go
I
ahead.
would definitely agree with that. I believe that honestly
Yeah, they were doing drag queens 2 hours before. And instead of talking about like the discrimination that trans people face, like in job discrimination, or talking about their struggles as in terms of right housing, we're talking
Mhm.
about Leah Thomas, which once again I do feel supportive for her, but she's different from a lot of trans people's experiences of super poverty, not even getting right. Yeah, um, they they don't even get on the team because they face so much discrimination. They can't even. They don't even want it. Like like there's so many people just facing like you know, once again poverty, right?
Yeah.
Or talking about people that are like rich and or and I don't want to take away from her struggle, but there's other people that are
Yeah.
facing much more real. I'm so sorry too. So I
No,
want to
I
help
was just
people out, and
I was just basically gonna say that, yeah, no, I think, if anything, like gay people to a certain extent too, but I would say, yeah, trans people are kind of just used as a scapegoat, and often are thrown under the bus, um,
yeah,
in the United States, and it's just one of those things, and we're essentially used as we're basically used as all kinds of different things. We're seen as a fetish. We're seen, because so many people like to, put so much emphasis on sexualization and sexual identity and stuff like that with gender identity. And they want to try to, twist all kinds of things and make, trans people out to seem like we're, some sort of deviance, which we're not. And a lot of these people, if anything, are really just projecting their their problematic tendencies onto trans people, because I mean, we've seen, for instance, just recently, and this is actually an article, that I'm working on creating for a video. There was the Moms for Liberty, um, lady that was just recently uh, kind of outed as basically being, I think her and her husband like sexually harassed and/or uh, abused, um, somebody or a multitude of somebodies. I don't really remember. I need to go back and look at that article. But yeah, she came out as essentially being, apparently her and her husband were swingers, and they were involved in some potentially SA related activities, and yet she's out here, her and her organization are out here trying to say, that trans people are, you know basically pedophiles, and that, that then that we're groomers and stuff like that. And yet they're out here, yet these right wing people pushing against us, they're out there actually doing that very thing, and
like Caleb Maupin.
yeah, yeah,
Anyway, yeah. So hey, let's take a look now. The thing is that lies and fakers and stuff. I think that this time once again of the Cat Williams interview is brings so much to the context. And one of the ways to really recognize the industry plants or the Oprahs of this world, right, are the way that they cut down, right, other people who are within their community in order to make sure that they remain at the top. And the thing is that, Keffels, right, I haven't seen so much of your content, but I did see you also, beating up on Yankee Tanky. So you're beating up on smaller producers, but what are you doing to actually help people in your community? I can't, right? Are you doing a lot of critical work? So one of the things that also an industry plant does, or someone who's really working, they accuse us of being say, fuck, suck this off. How about this, right? Who with the celebrities? Who with the money? That's you, not us. Shut up. Okay, you say if you want, but let's look at this too, right? Yeah. Now the
mhm,
thing is that the communists, just so you know, some of them, and maybe that's plant too. Who knows, right? But there was actually a contest for leadership in the Amazon labor union. There was someone who's communist who tried to take over. I did not see that reported within the communist media. Maybe it was, maybe it was, but if it wasn't reported, I find that very suspicious, right? And maybe these people are not really everything they seem they are. What do you know about this whole, the actual See, now we talk about the things they want us to talk about, right? The distracting story hours, the grooming, blah. That's what they want to talk about. What I want to talk about is us making progress on certain aspects, right? Like
Right.
new legislation, or really understanding, how to push our people forward, and talk about successes that they. I know you're communist, right? Maybe you're communist first before being trans. I don't know. Maybe you're both at the same time. I don't know, but I really understand you more from being communist more than anything else because I'm more political, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah, what are the communists achieving? Like, what do they have any plans for the coming election cycle? What are their plans besides backing Biden?
Uh, yeah, that see that's kind of an issue that honestly a lot of us that are further to the left have is the fact that particularly with a lot of MLs because the Communist Party of the USA um I really hate to have to use the word simp here, but they are kind of simps for the Democratic Party. They don't really elect anybody, of themselves to run for, president or Congress or anything like that. I mean, obviously, not that they would likely stand any sort of a chance, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you're going to participate in, what I would call the bourgeois democracy, it's like at least, act like you're trying. And instead, they actively are supporting Democratic candidates, which, does basically defeat the purpose, goes against, what communism is supposed to be about. Now, I would honestly argue that what we should be doing is be more doing more like direct action, boots on the ground sort of activism and stuff like that because
I do want to
quite
ask about that real quick. Yeah. So,
yeah.
right, I've been talking with this guy, Dust James. He actually added me to his Facebook group. They have like a little discussion that they talk about communism stuff. So, I'm still learning, and the fact is that I do believe that many people's communism differs from each other's. So I'm
Hmm.
always like finding out new stuff. One thing that's also been interesting to watch about couples is she actually she may be like a North Korean sympathizer or was a former North Korean sympathizer. She talks about North Korean. So it's interesting for me to see this phenomenon of communists, mostly white, right? I'm not against white people at all, right? I'm not saying but I don't. They talk about China communism. They talk about communism of Korea, but I don't see really Chinese or Koreans. There's plenty of them here. I'm not saying they're all communists, right? But it seems weird to me that they seem strangely absent from the conversation. And may even, I'm sure there has to be like, I'm not the only political Asian American out here. There has to be one out there, but it seems to me weird that, um, right, there's like a couple from China, like I think Carl Zha's from China. I think Xiao Yu's from China, right? They're not from the US.
Hmm.
Why are there, like, that's also some industry plant stuff, it seems to me. Uh,
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I would. There's,
Maybe make it this whole, like, the whole Asia side of this whole communism thing. It's a little weird to me.
honestly, I think everybody really has their own like personal like opinions on where on
And
on
imagine these same people, right, pushing for African communism or African socialism.
yeah,
Like, it would be a little weird. You get what
yeah.
I But
And see
yeah,
that the issue that I have is that I like I don't mind people that want to.
yeah, but with no black people, right? That they sing African socialism, African communism, but there's no black people around. Like that would be weird to me.
Yeah, the closest I would say in that case is probably the Pan-Africanist movement, which is that has varying degrees of political ideology and stuff like that, which I don't want to get into right now, but it's but yeah, and I would kind of say that's kind of the same thing when it comes down to people that support that are that are, when it comes down to the issue of a lot of these Asian countries and stuff like that, like there's certain people that certain sections of the communist community that still think that China is communist, which it's very ardently not. It's
I'd
basically
love to have
it's
a conversation with one of these people on that topic, if they'll ever have me on, right? Yeah. So if you know any
right.
of these Chinese or Korean socialist communist like supporters and stuff, like, not saying I'm against them or for them, but I'm just interested in having a conversation. Like, yeah. So if you know any of them, I'm definitely interested. But
Yeah.
back to the original thing that I was really going to ask you was,
Hmm.
so the people, right? They have their differences, and I know the Communist Party said to vote for Biden, right? Which a lot of people have problem with, which
Hmm.
I understand, right? But isn't communism kind of like centralized, right? Democracy, so the central committee gets to decide because of their better understanding of stuff, like how the populace should do this stuff.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. So go ahead.
So essentially the way that it's meant that if all the factors are perfect,
Yeah.
essentially the way that it's supposed to work is that yeah, there's a centralized committee that is supposed to direct and kind of like guide. They're supposed to essentially create um like like
Even that I could tolerate, right? But there's no
yeah.
process to get your concerns heard. There's no way. There's nothing to really make sure, to document that you've actually tried to get this issue addressed. They just won't
Right.
talk
So
to you.
yeah, because the way that it's supposed to work is essentially people at the lower levels, we have councils that elect people to, the higher degrees of a central committee, and those people, and essentially it kind of works in a perfect world. It's supposed to kind of go both ways, where it's like from the basically from the lower levels up to the upper levels down. They're all supposed to kind of work in tandem of guiding a socialist philosophy and trying to essentially a progress a society to the point where there is no need for to create a moneyless, stateless, classless society. And or as Lenin and Marx have essentially put it, was the erosion, the eroding away of the state. That's how it's supposed to work in theory. The problem is that you get different people in there that do have um, as we can even see in our modern movement, there are people that have varying degrees of opinion on how that's supposed to go, and some people want more control, which would go completely against the fundamental nature of socialist philosophy. Or you'll have people that are like me, who favor that general eroding away of that that centralized power, because to the point where the central committee is, or the central government, if you will, is really not needed as anything more than kind of to provide like the basic goods and services that you know to keep everything functioning. So like fire, medical, police, making sure that food is is, and the wealth is still evenly distributed. But yeah, but essentially that's kind of how communism is supposed to work. And then but you get some of these um I guess I'll use the word saboteurs, I believe is something that Lenin described. And it was and you get these people that start grasping for power, and have varying degrees on what they think uh society, how they should, how society should be governed. And that's kind of uh and I feel like that's kind of, especially in today's modern movements and stuff like that, that has just devolved into uh factionalism, and to even some degree I would say almost a tribalist sort of uh
Okay. So I'm going to actually take. You could look this up. Yeah, the
Mhm.
physics definition of power. Right. There's a lot of different definitions of what power is.
Yeah.
Okay. But the physics definition of power is going to be work over time.
Mhm.
So the thing is that the ability to get work done it necessitates power. You
Yeah.
cannot get work done right without power. So the problem is that um, some of the nature of power itself has certain it has pluses and it has minuses like everything else. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's now as in terms of right, Keffels, I know that she was quite dismissive of you, which is she could do that if she wants, but I'm more interested in building with you. The thing is that I already have a coalition right now that I work with. We're working on housing reform, criminal justice reform. Um, Now, some of this is through electoral means, but honestly, like, if we don't do these things, people will suffer as a result
Yeah.
of these policies. So, some people can just be disregardful like Keffels, but others of us are really working to address real problems. I'm saying that Keffels also being trans also has issues too. But the fact of the matter is that she seems to be siding with the money and the celebrity, and making decisions in a way that's not really helpful.
Chasing the grift, as it were, yeah.
Hey, she could do what she wants, yeah, but we could do what we want. So, as in terms of right now, what do you have? Right now, we're trying to activate people locally for something called county committee, right, which is
Mhm.
actually now Democrat, Republican. Is your state Oregon? Is it like a red state or a blue state, or is it like a mixed?
I
How
mean,
is that, right?
theoretically it's blue, but
Oh, really?
that's largely because of the cities like Portland, Eugene, Bend. Otherwise, I would say most of Oregon is either kind of mixed or is red because that's a lot of your rural communities and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, like eastern, like central and eastern Oregon, like east of the Cascades, that it is really deep red territory. But some of the areas that are at least a little more inclined to be blue, or even lean a little more to the left, you're going to find in on the western side of the state, but more emphasis in like cities like
Okay.
Eugene, Portland. So, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the reason why I'm asking. It's not really because whatever it is, red or blue, your area. The reason why is because I believe that you have to have a different strategy for national, state, and local politics. And the
Yeah.
fact of the matter is that at a local level, whatever parties in control, be Republicans or Democrats, they're going to be able to influence who the judges are. And if you want
Hmm.
electoral reform, criminal justice reform, right, all these other types of reforms, right, and also remember the party in charge, right, also
Yeah.
gets to run the election. They get to run the ballots. They get to determine which the name is in order. They get to determine some of the rules, and they get
Right.
to determine the enforcement of those rules. So you want to have people around there, whether or not, right? Yeah. So whatever party is in power in your particular area, I would join that party locally to try to join the county and the state committee to see what's going on at a local level. You want to do the third party, you want to have revolution, what I mean, for the national and the state level. I'm with that, right? Yeah, but at a local level, to influence the judges and things like that, if your county is habitually taken over by this machine and you
Mm.
cannot overturn it in any reasonable way, then you got to find a way to influence that to see at an insider level what's going on, and that only comes
Right.
through right and getting involved. Yeah.
And I am actually in the process of kind of slowly kind of transitioning my channel into more of a net into more of a web of a network web of different people in different parts of the country and stuff like that. I have friends that are down in like Arizona, friends that are in Indiana, Chicagoland area, and then I have some comrades that are some of which are active in a lot of like on the street sort of stuff in Portland. And what I'm trying to do is essentially create that um, that web, that network, if you will, of
That's
people that are
incredible. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm looking for right now for my
Yeah.
partners as well. I have partners in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, key swing states.
Yeah.
Idaho would be great, but Oregon is definitely a place that I'm missing. Chicagoland is definitely like Chicago area is definitely an area that I'm missing. I think you said, did you say Indiana?
Yeah. They're
I'm excited
north,
about these.
like
These are,
northwest Indiana. Yeah.
these are areas where I do not have people. So I
Yeah.
would love to combine our groups together. Now I do have like a set of different things that we're working on, and
Mm.
also like things that you're working on. We'll try to do a criminal justice reform with CRB,
Mm.
civilian review boards. We're trying to make them. This plan is supported by Serpico. We're trying to have more civilian actual involvement versus political and organizational appointees, and also subpoena power. Or we're also trying to create a system of for people with wrongful convictions. We're trying to support um, the ability for people who have like confessed to crimes to still get
Mm.
legal assistance, and also we're trying to get them compensation if they've been wrongfully convicted.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the other team, the disabilities crew is going to come out with their piece, but if your crew also has something that you guys want to address, I'd love to add it to our team. Right, I have other team public housing that I'm working with as well to refund
Yeah.
public housing as we know it. This should actually be a critical issue for socialists and for communists because in terms of public housing, that's actually a social one of the largest social projects that really.
Yeah. Specifically in places like Portland. Well, in more broader sense, the entire West Coast. But yeah, a lot of issues out here are the issue with housing because of um, California in particular has a major housing crisis. Portland's got a major problem with affordable housing. What was the last thing? I think it was like 50,000 people or something like that in the state alone are homeless, and that number only is growing by the day. There's a lot of people that I mean, you walk through this downtown Portland and you it's hard to walk more than 5 feet without tripping over somebody that is you know that is down on their luck and needs the critical services in order to just get back on their feet. Some of these people, yeah, they suffer from mental health issues. Some of them have addictions and stuff like that, and
The one
it's
group I really want to actually come into start organized help right now is honestly the trans community. I see
yeah.
I see people coming after their community right now in moral panic mode to try to generate votes and stuff and divide our community and provide an outlet for frustration to be taken out instead of on the rich people who cause the suffering. Now they're also moving the migrants in too,
Yeah.
and these communities are really just becoming pushed in front of as targets for the rage that people feel and the poverty, and it's ridiculous. And we gotta maybe we could call a summit before the national election. Maybe we could call a summit of all the different you know, do you know someone named Andrea? What's it? Cyber Demon, Volkowski, something. I don't know.
I've probably come across that person, but I'm
We
not
stopped
really.
talking after she talked to Jackson Hinkle, but I'm still not mad. But I could be kind of off if I feel violated, and I spring off. I don't know if you see my content, but I definitely lash out. You know what I mean? So people don't like it, but I get it. But I like to
Yeah.
call it summit. You know what I mean? Let's actually have a this community's under unique attack right now. We gotta respond and mobilize.
Yeah.
So I know there's some people that are watching my channel on that particular issue, and I'm not actually trans or gay myself, but just being Asian American and seeing how my community was targeted, I recognize what's going on, and I'm
Yeah.
to help. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean that is definitely something is that people in the Asian American community and people in the trans community, and they have been the last couple of years specifically have been used as all kinds of scapegoats. Obviously, the Asian American community during COVID was very much discriminated against for a lot of racist reasons, and those same types of people that were pushing pushing against the Asian American community are the same people that are that were and are pushing against the trans community, because of the fact that, you know, they essentially fear what they don't understand. And it's, and that, and the, and one of the things that I'm doing is a, you know, I hate using the word content creator. I prefer the term as an educator, because what I do is I do analysis, I do commentary, I try to educate people on issues, and a lot of those things that I try to bring to light are some of the issues of for the trans community. And the things I'm currently working on is what I like to refer to as trans liberation theory. And it's essentially this whole thing about how to both educate. It's essentially this thing where I want to educate the trans community on how they can liberate themselves from oppression. But at the same time, we also, it's not just liberating ourselves, but it's educating the masses on what being trans is. And and basically trying to let people know there's no reason to fear us. It's all based on misinformation.
Now, some right now you can't be, you shouldn't fear trans people, just right, but it doesn't mean that you can't fear some of them, right? Yeah. Look, just like anybody else, some of them could be good or bad, just like any other community. So the thing is that how can we really bring? I feel like some of the people that are going, I'd like to find some of those people and maybe bring them into the conversation, seeing where we can find common ground. Now, the thing is that you said earlier that there's this new talk about how they're trying to groom the kids, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, and they really try to focus on these drag queen story hours. That's kind of been a focal point, which is actually what's kind of down here in New York City. Actually, is kind of funny, but I do know the people that are protesting the drag queen story hours. So it's a strange thing. I don't know if you've seen the content regarding that, but
Oh
you know,
yeah,
oh, you have, okay. Well,
i've
I've been
seen I've seen a lot of different content, honestly, about that uh, about those particular protests. And it's,
so
and
how
yeah.
do you like how do you understand, right, when they say the grooming thing? Because I think I do understand from like the other side to an extent, right? But when they talk about grooming, what is their concern? Is there a middle ground? What are they talking about?
There, yeah, honestly, there really isn't any sort of like middle ground sort of thing. A lot of their concerns are based on a lot of misinformation and like right wing conspiracy. Because essentially what they try to do is they try to take numbers and uh, or just essentially pull things sometimes out of their ass and try to conflate uh, so many they try to essentially inflate a lot of these a lot of this information and try to spread it around like wildfire, in order to demonize the trans community. For instance, I believe it is, what is it, 0.7%. I don't remember the article that I got that from, but I think it's like 0.7% of the uh, uh, sexual crimes, and that's just in general. That it's, if we were to take the victims that are children in that, it's probably a little bit less than that. But 0.7% of the sexual crimes that are committed in the United States are done by trans people. So yes, there are probably a few people within the trans community that that are definitely problematic, and by all means they should be uh we should actually have a conversation about that, and distance ourselves from them, being like, you might be trans, you might be part of our community, but we do not recognize you, because you are, because of of this very problematic the problematic
Yeah.
shit. And so basically what but the thing is that, yeah, is that 0.7% of essential of a, what is it, 2% of the population. It's like, and yet people make that, a lot of these right-wing conspiracy theorists, they're trying to make that seem like that's like 70%.
Well, you know what? Actually, here's something funny though, right? Yeah. The thing
Yeah,
is that I'm saying exactly the same thing you're saying. I do, right, even though I'm actually hanging out with people that are protesting drag queen story hours, right? Yeah, I'm
yeah,
actually openly supporting trans people, and I'm telling them, right? Yeah, they're not the
yeah,
ones who shut me down though. Actually, it's the gatekeepers on the left, right? Yeah, that want to manage the narrative that are actually shutting my voice down, and they don't want to actually. There's been a couple exceptions like Talia Woofville, right? Yeah, who's actually on the left, but the other ones of them, they just crank the wheel, right? For the they make their photo appearances. They don't actually address these issues, and they won't have a conversation to really move things forward. They're also playing into it as well. And out
yeah,
here, I'm sorry to say, this game is being played on both sides by the gatekeepers.
yeah.
To
I would definitely,
I
yeah,
would
say
definitely
that
both
there
sides
is
work
a
that.
lot, definitely a lot of gatekeeping that goes on. There, well, not
And
maybe.
even though they seem like they're on your side, they're actually using you. They're
Yeah,
using trans
they're
people.
yeah. It
Yeah,
kind of goes back to that word grifting. Essentially, is what they're doing, and they're yeah. These are people that, some of these people are individuals who are kind of like those certain feminists that like to claim, that are like, oh, well, you can't, be part of our movement. You can't, you can't be for women's rights because you're a man, or you can't be this because you're a trans woman. And, we can go into the whole transphobic BS that surrounds that thing. But then, there's, yeah, in the same vein, there's also some people that are very, um I'm not going to use the word radical, I'd rather use the term reactionary, to where they, try to be like, oh, well, you can't be, you can't be in support of trans people, or you can't, understand our movement because you know you're cisgender, or whatever like that. And see, that's counterproductive, because those are the type, the because at the end of the day, we only make up 2% of the population. We're gonna need the larger population to be on our side, if, well, quite frankly, we hope to survive. And that's kind of, and that really is kind of the issue. And that kind of goes back, honestly, to my thing I was mentioning earlier about there being a serious communication issue, I think, within the trans community. And that's like, look, we have to be patient with, people that are not trans, because, yeah, they aren't going to understand what the struggle for trans people is like, because they don't live in our brains, they don't live in our shoes. Doesn't mean that they can't be, that they can't provide some sort of, like, empathy,
you
and
know the
try,
thing is
and
that
support, yeah,
I feel like those communities feel like they don't need the trans people, right, which is kind of unfortunate. Right, being Asian American, I face that often myself. So as minorities, because we also are deemed expendable, that's why we're put on the front lines. That's why I'm reaching out to your community in particular. I also work with people with disabilities, people that are poor, right? Yeah, people that are often overlooked, to create a coalition so you can get the critical mass we need to affect the change that we need to, overcome this disregard and oppression straight up. So, no,
yeah,
100%. Yeah, I can't wait to end this suffering. I'm tired of it. Yeah, I'm ready.
yeah.
I'm ready to put in some work. I'm done with this shit. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, I'm just so tired.
Yeah. So
So yeah,
Keffels, I mean, time to start supporting and stop hating. Maybe there's a real thing, and maybe you got
Yeah,
You gotta take some
we
criticism
gotta
that
quit
you're not perfect either. Yeah.
we've got
Yeah.
to quit dividing our not only the individual communities, whether it's like, trans community against, or let me use this term, the gay community against the trans community, or the black community against the Asian community. It's kind of like, look, we all are oppressed minorities, and we're going to and we have to unite together, or we're going to end up going down together, because disunity, and division only ends up sowing our own demise. So it's like, and that's what those in power, that's what they want. So, and if we continue to just bicker amongst ourselves and gatekeep, all that's going to do is that just basically, hands over the dub to those in power. And and
Another thing that I think is weird that's going on with the communists is back in the 70s, right? You saw the communists hanging out with the Black Power movement, hanging out with the anti-war people, but nowadays they've kind of been siloed off into their own little kind of circles. And even the communists, they don't have to be Marxist Leninists, but they've kind of been pigeonholed into these little circles and stuff like CPI. We need to break out of that and have the communists back in the fold with the rest of the crew. Where's the Nation of Islam at? Where's the Black Panthers at? Where's the communists be right with? Where are they at? Like, how come it's not there anymore like that?
yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of them have, uh as they've grown, or as time has gone by, let's put it that way. I wouldn't say grown, that's the wrong word, but as time has gone by, I would actually say some of these people have actually, it's kind of sad to say, but a lot of these people have actually grown more reactionary than they have revolutionary. And I think, yeah, what needs to kind of happen is that we need to start, is that it really comes down to educating people and trying to bring people back towards that revolutionary path, because we have gone so far off, off kilter, that that yeah, we kind of need like that new wave, of revolutionary fervor, because yeah,
Like, your
yeah.
peoples and your peoples that you know from Indiana and Chicago and all that, are they communists or how do you know these people?
Oh yeah, they're communists. They're Marxist Leninist. I actually they are actually fans of my channel. Funny enough, they
Oh,
yeah, I and so we actually are, we chat occasionally on like Discord, or on Twitter and stuff like that. So
what about the
it's
Gus James community? Do you know his community?
not really, but I'd
Okay,
be willing
what
to,
about him?
yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I'd be willing to definitely to interact with that community. Like I'm sure that there's probably going to be some differences that we'll probably have, but if we can kind of sit
They've been
down
okay
and
with
have
me
that,
so far.
yeah,
So if I
you
survive there, that's a good sign. Yeah, I don't survive in my.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you know about that?
What's up?
Do you know about that? Do you know about my non-survival in a lot of different groups and organizations?
Oh no, I haven't.
Oh no! Oh man. Okay. Well, yeah. That I know they haven't contacted you yet. I know they will soon. And once we start doing our stuff, don't worry, they're coming. They're coming. Yeah, I will prepare you
Yeah.
for it. All right, cool. So then have some other questions. Let me check this out. Maybe they'll list some things up here. Okay. Have you ever seen something called Bad Empanada?
Oh yeah, I'm aware of him.
Who is what is I don't know these people, right? Who is Bad Empanada? What is the story there? And what is
Bad
he?
Empanada,
Yeah.
I'm going to use the broad term leftist. He's a leftist that kind of I would honestly go just kind of call him more of a leftist shit lord because he's kind of one of those people that that seems to both draw praise and also ire, kind of that ire from
There's
from.
also, I don't know if it's bad empanada, but it's something empanada. There's like a Spanish lady who has like a radio, who is like has actually syndicated radio show. Is
Mhm.
you know who I'm talking about? I think
I
she's associated with Bad Empanada.
I think so, yeah. But yeah, no, she no, the bad empanada is some guy that actually is yeah, he's just kind of another leftist YouTuber that honestly posts a lot of um controversial takes that I
He
think
does have some deep knowledge, though. I watched some of his stuff. I was like, but I just
he
interested. I'm not
does.
saying I agree with everything, but he does have some deep knowledge. I was like, how does this guy know this stuff? Interesting.
Yeah, and honestly, he's kind of one of those people that I'll like obviously I don't agree with, I don't agree with
I don't know, man.
all or a lot of, sometimes even a lot of his stuff, but there's certain things that, every once in a while I'll see him post about where I'm just kind of like, all right, that's a decent take. I'm, like whatever. But generally like the overall opinion kind of him by from various factions of the left is anything from um outright hatred to just mild annoyance to people like me who are just kind of like, I don't I don't like, my opinion of him is just kind of like pretty neutral. So like, at the end of the day, it's like, we're all going to have different, opinions on things, but it's like, it's just kind of like he's doing what he's doing, I'm doing what I'm doing. That's kind of that's kind of about it as far as my
Okay, just
knowledge or.
I was wondering if there's any connection or tie. I mean, I'm just exploring the space, so I'm still as communist. I'm just one of the many worlds that I'm in, and I'm in communism. Like I tell you the truth, I'm not really come with other people telling me what to do.
Yeah,
I'm willing to cooperate and stuff like that, but I do feel like also communists. I feel like we're highly infiltrated, right? Because like they're supporting Biden, so I do feel like
yeah,
that. I feel like that's a weird setup. And then within the other groups, like the Lulushis and stuff, I like the people in it, but the people at the top, they have their own, and it's not. I can't blame just the communists. All the groups have this as well, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And then there's just certain organizations that are just that seem like they're also imploding in upon themselves. So there was
yeah.
actually because there was actually because so many of these organizations, they end up with splinter groups, and then those splinter groups end up with their own splinter groups. uh, One of the perfect examples is the Party of Communists USA, which split from the initial CPUSA, and that happened, I think, about, oh, I don't know, the couple of years back, maybe as far as like 5 years back. But apparently, I guess the PCUSA is now basically imploding in on itself because they're having a lot of internal problems and factionalism and some problematic people that are involved in that. But yeah, basically, that's just kind of the thing, is that there's way too much division amongst communists, and I think that it really comes down to that we need to that if there's any sort of hope for any like left unity, and people can kind of debate the issue of whether left unity is possible or not, but if there's any hope of trying to have it, then we need to kind of come to at least some mutual agreement of like a cohesive set of goals, a cohesive platform on moving forward, because
So
otherwise
one thing I did like about Bad Empanada's take was that I saw recently was not that I just watched him so much. I just watched him like doing a little bit of research for this particular show. But
mm,
because I was watching about the couple stuff, and I was like, what is she even saying about Nicole over here? I don't really think Nicole's bad at all. I think this has been a great conversation, by the way. and I'm disappointed that couples could not get as much value out of the conversation with you as I was able to. But oh well.
Yeah. At the
But,
end of the day, as I've said in a pre as I said in a previous video a while back, yeah, Keffel's main main goal and main just source of just her main source of ideology and stuff like that is Keffel's. She's only looking for drama baiting and stuff like that to
yeah,
benefit.
and you can tell how, and that's what I liked about Ben Epinetis. He said the reason why these people are, and he was talking about the CPI conference, right? He's like the only qualification for the people that she's talking about, the people with the views, or the people that have the numbers, or the people that have the hot topic at the moment. But the
Yeah,
actual poor, the actual people that she's supposed to represent, she's not actually taking care of those people. In fact, she's victimizing them for her own self gain, which you can obviously see. So the way we're going to destroy, our right, these kinds of people are by just exposing them, by just doing what they're not doing. It's,
yeah.
you know, go ahead, celebrate couples. You know what I mean? Well, but honestly, I'm going to be getting things done. So you have your little,
Yeah.
yeah, right. The more we accomplish, the less they. You're going to find out the more we accomplish, the more they're going to shut their asses up. That says they can't talk about me.
Yeah. And it got to a point with me where it's just like, you know what? Okay, I'm not going to change her mind. She's not going to change my mind. So it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to or I'm just going to, make the
I haven't been
decision
that
to walk
impressed.
away. And
Yeah, she got a nice camera. She's got a nice background setup. She's got the lighting's great. Yeah, but other than that, I really wasn't that impressed.
yeah, well,
Like,
at the end of the day, it's just like, just because, you have more money to spend on a production setup and that you have
she's
more
not even
followers.
consistent. She admits that she had wild swings. Like she used to think one way, but now she's this way now, right? Yeah, like she's not even clear. Like what right? She just hasn't been consistent.
I mean, I think part of that also has to do with the fact that I think she does have some sort of like mental health. I believe there was something she said something about having some sort of mental health issue, like bipolar, something like that. So, I mean, that could also play a factor in it. But yeah, she just kind of seems like she flip flops on what she believes and the people that she associates with and stuff like that. Like she basically bounces between being like, you know, a a lover of Vosh and a hater of Vosh. And apparently there was some sort of thing where she was supposedly hanging out with a creator called Shoe on Head, but then was trying to say something about how, Shoe on Head has got, some, is made some sort of criticisms about her.
Oh, I
And
got something to say about Sean Head as well.
yeah.
The thing is that being that I was a former New York State coordinator for the People's Party.
Hmm.
The thing is that I was actually also for Cornell West, right? We contacted Cornell West, trying to tell them about the abuse, the theft that was going on, which is all being covered up by the media. Now the thing is that, of course, I contacted Breaking Points. Of course, I contacted the Jimmy Dore Show. Of course, I contacted like Kim Iverson and these other ones. But Sean had actually has more subscribers than Jimmy Dore, so she was a great hope for us, right? Because she's not completely in the Jimmy Dore ecosystem, right?
Hmm.
She has her own thing going on. So we contacted Sean with great, and she actually opened emails, and I have the read receipts. She never helped us for shit. Now she's actually doing some shows with the Jimmy Dore ecosystem. She actually went to a Crystal Balls actually it's gatekeepers at the top. So Sean had once again she'll hang with the there's gatekeepers and they have their own little they understand that they're running grift behind the scenes. It doesn't have to be super evil about it, but they just don't care about the people that's actually suffering and they're
Yeah.
making money off. Right? It's not that they're so right. They might be casual communists. They're not really about this life though, right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, they're just it
They're
might be a niche
grifters.
they can find
Yeah.
where they're comfortable, but it's really the depth of it. The really primary goal and the priorities you can see it are making money, running the having the YouTube job, which seems easy, right within their framework, but the true truth is people being oppressed and suffering right now. and
Right.
they're the cause of it. And it's not cool.
Yeah, and I would say that the big issue for people like her and people like Keffels even is that they're doing it because it draws clicks, and that and clicks generate revenue for them, and they're doing it for the money. They're
They're
whereas
doing the safe content. Right? They're
yeah,
beating up on smaller creators instead of like
yeah,
oh,
like
here's
people
$1.
like me, people like me who are basically, doing this because like this is a hobby of mine. It's not, even if I had, you know, was even if I was like, had like 600,000 subscribers or something like that, and, was making six figures or something like that from like Twitch or Patreon and stuff like that. My thing is that I'm not doing it because of any sort of monetary value or anything like that. I'm doing it because I like doing what I'm doing. I like being able to educate people. I like analyzing, stories and being able to, you know, uh, comment and stuff like that on a lot of current events issues. I like doing that. I'm not doing it to be because it's
The better they treat you, the harder you'll work with me. This is good.
exactly. It's
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind
I'll
of
be
like,
best
yeah,
talking
they
on the
hate.
way.
Yeah,
On the 24th.
it kind of
Right.
goes back to that whole like, yeah, hate me because they ain't me sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, exactly. They're not going to let us in when I'm forced the door.
Yeah.
So it's just what's up. So yeah, it's exciting to speak with you again. It's been quite some time.
Yeah.
I actually need to link up back with my other folks, but actually, I do want to. I'm excited about the areas that you're in right now. Yeah, I'm especially wanted to look for people in Iowa. If you know anybody in Iowa, that state
Yeah.
has always been actually been escaping my capture. Right? Yeah, Chicago's also very interesting. It's the third largest market in the nation. Right now, I have New York and LA. I got people there, so I'm trying to expand out. So
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, we got people out there. Yeah, we growing.
Oh
Washington
yeah.
State, yeah. Oregon now, yeah. Exciting.
Yeah, I am like I said, I'm trying to kind of organize it. I was originally going to be doing a project with a friend of mine that lived in England, but I know that she's kind of got a lot of her own issues going on right now, especially with like her physical and her mental health. So
Do
um,
do you have Zoom or StreamYard?
I do StreamYard largely, yeah.
I think you should. I could do it on my channel, right? But I think you should host a summit on trans issues for the 24 election cycle.
It is something I have thought about, and it's
I'll
where
do it if you don't. Yeah, I want you to do it.
it is something where I've thought
And
about
invite
trying
me.
to. Yeah, it is something where I have thought about reaching out to some other like trans creators and stuff like that.
Let's
That
do it.
are on,
Can we get agreement to do it today? Like, can you agree to do it?
um, honestly, I'm not going to agree to anything just yet. It's kind of
Okay.
one of those things where it's like, there's other stuff that I'm currently a couple other projects I'm currently dealing with, but it
No
is
problem.
something that.
Have you seen? Quick question: have you seen my interview with Salamander Brandy?
No, I haven't.
Salamander Brandy is actually a historical first trans mayoral candidate for Memphis, Tennessee, where Tyree Nichols just died. She's actually the co-chair of DSA Memphis, and
Mm,
actually, I was going crazy out here trying to get some New York attention to her race.
mm-hmm,
The local politicians, all who were supposedly like supporting Drag Queen Story Hour, they all wanted to keep Randy's race quiet as dead as a mouse. You know
hmm.
why? Because they didn't want any money going to Brandy Price instead of their pockets. So they were like anything about Brandy Price, it was like, shut the fuck up, Ed. We can't let you talk about that. I was like, don't tell me you support trans people. Shut the fuck up. You're so fake. Oh my god, you're killing me with this. Yo, for real, for real, for real. Yo, this is yo. I swear that's how dirty these people play. Like for real. Like
But
disgusting.
yeah, I do want to get like some other. I do want to kind of like have some sort of thing where I'll to talk with other
We'd probably jump in. You know what I mean? We could.
yeah, to talk
There's
to other
other historical
trans like
trans
you.
people, but they won't talk about them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it doesn't serve some asshole's interest. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
that's okay.
and that's why I say it's like I would like to try to get like some other trans YouTubers and stuff like that, you know, and even people like Sophie from Mars and other people if I can. I would like to be able to get various different, particularly various creators from the left that could have a to have a conversation and stuff like that, and because it's like we don't have to agree necessarily, ideologically, but we do need to agree that on, how we can, move
Yeah.
forward as a community and
And your
actually have
community
a
is being
meaningful
directly targeted
conversation.
right now with bullshit. You know what I mean? Y'all
Yeah.
need to get together to defend yourselves.
Yeah.
Y'all are being targeted right now. Like
Yeah.
everybody's talking about your community right now, and y'all don't really have like any amount of control over that shit.
Right.
It's disgusting. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, like like I said, 2% of the population, that's it's like we need to we need to get that 2% talking and, having, a cohesive sort of,
Yeah.
movement for self-defense and educating people, because if we don't stand together, we're going to all, it's kind of the way I look at it. It's kind of like we all stand together or we all end up,
I'll be real
going
with you.
to the same camp,
The people that are going against the Drag Queen Story Hour here in New York City, they
Mhm.
like me. I'm not right yet. Like they know I support trans people. They like me. So something that we talked about today, we can have that conversation. But once again, the media is projecting it in a different way, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, look, I'm sorry about right. Sometimes I don't agree with all of them all the time, but I am support trans people. So within that community, I'm proud to be a leader, as in terms of supporting humanity for trans people.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, okay. I'd like that to happen. Anything else that you want to talk about tonight, or anything else that you want to bring up?
Nah, not right at the moment. I think like I said, I gotta get back to a few other projects that I'm been
Hey, tell my audience before you go, like where they can like tune into your stuff. I do plan on doing some more work with Nicole here, in terms of like organizing, right, in Oregon, Indiana, and
Yep. Yeah.
Chicago.
So
So
yeah.
where can people watch your stuff? You used to be Comrade Red Pagan, now you're what? Red Pagan Corner or something?
Well, it's always been Red Pagan Corner, but I go by Comrade Red Pagan on all my social media platforms, so people can connect with me on Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram. I'm basically you basically just type in Comrade Red Pagan. That's where I'm at, and then for YouTube, it's youtube.com /@ Red Pagan Corner. So
All right,
people can go find me there.
all right. Just gonna shout out to Nick over here, and yeah, hey, thanks again for coming by. I'll be in contact soon. God bless. All right.
All right, later.